back to another episode of JP and the Beanstalk.
You bet. We're here. The energy is terrific in the gym. We're hydrated. H2O.
Trying
Fantastic.
to be.
That's great. That's great. Beans, welcome back. Always great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be back.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
It's fall in theory.
We had it for a little bit, didn't we?
A little bit.
And then it fell right out of our hands and back into summer. The tug of war.
Both of our favored college football teams are not so favored.
We don't talk about
Currently.
my team right now. They fired the OC this weekend.
They're probably going to end up firing more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They gone. But it is what it is. So
there's no doubt. Well, it's great to be in studio with you, per usual. Excited for another fantastic episode. We have another great episode on the docket for you, going through many of the classic segments that you have come to know and love. We'll hit up again one thing you'd change. This time we're doing villain version.
Yes,
so
we are.
Watch out. Watch out. Heroes, you've had your turn. It's time for the bad guys to get some screen time. So good for you. We'll hit on, of course, the Green Lantern news of the pod, because it's just the gift that keeps on giving. Actually, some positive news this time around, so that's exciting. We'll, of course, have our comics recommendation of the episode, and per usual, another classic, JP and the Beans. Top 5. So all kinds of things to look forward to. Beans, without further ado, let's kick it off right out of the gate with one thing you'd change. Would you please introduce today's selected characters?
yes, on the DC side, we have Lex Luthor.
Sure.
And on the Marvel side, we have Green Goblin.
Yeah, a couple of bad guys.
A.k.a. Norman Osborn.
Yes. The norms.
Yes. So that is where we're starting. Did you want to start
Sure.
off, or
Great.
do you want me to start off?
I would love to hear you go first. You pick whichever one you'd like to kick off. Pick your bad dude.
Okay.
And roll with him.
We'll just start off with Lex Luthor because he's on the top
There
of
you
my
go.
list.
Yeah.
There was no particular order. So, see, it was difficult with Lex because I'm like, do I want to give him powers? Nah.
Right.
Seen that before.
Yep.
I would like Lex Luthor, and I don't know if this has been done in the comics or not. I'd like him to take over Task Force X, a.k.a. I'd like to see him run the Suicide Squad.
Okay. Okay.
And then, maybe get rid of the caveat that they're
Sure.
all villains.
Yep.
And maybe he's got a couple heroes in there too.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be bombs necessarily, but he has control over a bunch of people who don't really want to listen to him.
Okay.
I think that's great for Lex because, I think he's a lot smarter than Amanda Waller. So, his plans are going to be more schemed
True.
and a lot more precise.
Right.
And a lot more talent specific.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's going to get done a lot more efficiently. So
You'd like to think a more robust allotment of resources as well, right?
Right.
Whereas Task Force X is kind of working with the leftovers of both personnel and materials. You could have LexCorp cranking out absolute phenomenal R&D products.
right. And think about all the things that he's like acquiring on the
Yep.
side,
Yep.
right? Underneath the government's notice.
Yep. Yep.
Because he's still like,
Yep.
I want to kill Superman. that didn't leave the whole thought process.
He's just true to who he is, isn't he?
But just imagine him running that kind of a team where on the surface it looks like he's doing good.
Right.
All of these like Batman and Superman are like keeping a close eye on him, but they can't really catch him in the act.
Sure.
I think it's just like this perfect middle ground for Lex where he can still do some good like in his head,
Yep.
but at the same time like
It gives him access to both sides, right?
Right.
He's allowed to be enough on the side of the good guys where they can't, to your point, whether it be Superman, Batman, any member of the Justice League, really, and the government can't take him down or take him out. But he's living firmly in that gray area, and so he can also still associate just as well with his usual fellow baddies.
I honestly feel like low key he would be a really good anti-hero.
Mhm.
Like really good.
Yes.
And I'm sure they've tried that before and he always reverts back to the villain, but
Yeah. The best I've ever read with Lex in that anti-hero sort of role was New 52. It was the Forever Evil storyline or event. I'll have to recommend that one sometime. There's an idea. And in basically the summation of that story is the entire Justice League gets removed from the board, and the evil version of the Justice League from an alternate universe comes in, attempts a takeover, a hostile takeover of Earth, and Lex Luthor is left to, in the absence of the Justice League, when they could have actually used Superman, like he's actually pissed off that Superman isn't there. He's like, when we actually need you, you're not here, man. And so he's left to team up with the likes of Black Manta, Sinestro, so on and so forth, to try and take down the evil version of the Justice League. And it's actually pretty compelling to both read and watch.
Well, they are able to like satisfy the urge of killing their like mortal enemy without actually killing their mortal enemy. Right. It's like a freebie. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I get to kill him and then I still get to fight him afterwards? Yeah, let's go.
What's great is at the end of the storyline is the Justice League, of course, comes back. Lex has saved Earth, and so now he has like this positive equity built up to where he's saying, hey, you know, Justice League, you guys could use me. I should be a part of your team. I just saved the Earth. Where were you? Like, and he kind of goes public with it, and it's he does get to partner up with the Justice League for a little bit. Pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah,
but he's still very much Lex.
Oh, for sure,
not a good guy. So very, very much right on the button with the anti-hero. A lot of fun to read.
Well, that's my thrill.
I love that. For me, what I would change about Lex Luthor to make him better is I want him to know the identities of all of the heroes. Like, it's actually ridiculous to me that someone that has the combination of his intelligence, his mischievousness, and his resources hasn't figured out that Clark Kent is Superman. That's harder to believe than the alternative, which is that Superman has been able to fool everyone, including the smartest, most equipped people on Earth, that he is not Clark Kent. That's actually wild. Lex Luthor should know Bruce Wayne is Batman. That shouldn't be hard.
How amazing would it be if he like runs into Clark Kent and he's just like, I know who you are, and then just shoots him in the face point blank. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to do anything, and it's just like...
Just to out him as Superman.
He's like, I knew it.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, well...
Yeah. So there's that path where he could go down. In the version that I'm envisioning, Lex Luthor would know all their secret identities, and he would let them know that he knows for the sake of gaining leverage over them, right? It's like, hey, listen, I'm not going to ruin your lives. I'm not going to out you. I'm going to let you keep your little alter ego. Probably. But when I need you to do something for me, if you choose not to, well, just consider yourself outed, right? So he's got some leverage over the superheroes. Just something, that'd be something very different than the usual leverage that he's trying to gain or that he has. No. And I think it just makes, again, all the sense in the world. Like, you're this exceptionally intelligent individual and you have all the resources in the world at your fingertips. Seriously, you haven't hired a crew to like, hey, let's see, who could afford to have all that sick gear? A fellow billionaire Bruce Wayne. I'm going to hire some dudes to go track him for a bit. See what's up.
Well, Batman did it.
Right?
So, and is Lex not smarter than Batman? I'm pretty sure that is confirmed.
Yeah.
So.
Correct. So there you go. That's what I would propose for changing about our dear, sweet Lex Luthor.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What do you got for Green Goblin?
Oh, right back to
our guy Norm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us about Norman.
What I would change, I think Green Goblin personally has outgrown Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like I feel like Spider-Man is kind of, well, Spider-Man already has a very large rogues gallery.
He does. He's got a lot to choose from there.
And obviously Green Goblin is very like the best Spider-Man villain by far.
Yep.
But he's grown to a point where I think, you know what? If he wanted to fight Iron Man for a little while, fantastic. I think that would be a great storyline between the two billionaires. Absolutely. One's crazy, one's not.
Absolutely.
Well, the other one's kind of crazy in his own right, Tony. But example,
different flavor of crazy.
Example A, maybe he goes up against Daredevil. That's example B.
Sure.
We could keep going down that rabbit hole. Yeah. Him against the Fantastic Four. I think he could really thrive as just a major villain, which he's done it before.
Yeah.
He led the Dark Avengers.
Right.
And believe from what I've heard that went really, really well story-wise. So it can be done.
Yep.
He also wasn't Green Goblin, though.
Mhm.
Like, he was the Iron Patriot
Correct.
at the time.
Correct.
So just to see that, like, amount of crazy go up against other people.
Yep.
Because you wonder what, like, they've kind of teased it with the Joker. Like, that,
Sure.
you know, he's tried it and it just doesn't work. You know, because no one puts up with his crap other than
Right.
Batman.
Right.
I think Green Goblin is on a different level than the Joker in the sense of he's got a little bit more mobility. He's actually has superhuman abilities.
Yeah.
And he's still crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit more options
Right.
with him. So I would like to see him expand his rogues gallery, if you will,
Well, I
to
think
where he fights other people.
It's a phenomenal call because he is so capable. Like, his skill set is diverse enough that he can handle opponents that have different strengths and weaknesses of their own, right? He's not just a Spider-Man oriented villain. He would be a great match. Iron Man is a really good comp. That would be a lot of fun to watch. I honestly worry about Daredevil being okay if Green Goblin comes after him. And Green Goblin's got a little too much of the tech for Daredevil to. Daredevil might be able to survive, but as far as mano a mano,
right,
a little worried about that.
Well,
he can't be as mobile as Spider-Man.
Well, can you imagine him going in as Norman and like into the Baxter building? Just be like, hey, this is mine now. And watching Reed unravel at the fact that Norman Osborn now owns the Baxter building.
Right. Right.
That's the kind of thing. Like, he brings the crazy, but he's also has a lot of things in his arsenal. In a weird way, he's a combination of Bruce and the Joker. In a weird way, if you think about it.
Correct. No, I think they could certainly do more with him there. I love that. All right. For me, here's what I would like, and I'll be really forthright. This is far from an original idea. So it's more of a, hey, we've seen some of this, but it's been in the films. I would love to see it transitioned and run with for a while in the comics. And I'm speaking of Norman Osborn as a genuine Jekyll and Hyde situation. In other words, Norman, when he's Norman, he's a great businessman, but he's sweet. He has an altruistic side. He cares about other people. But when the Green Goblin persona takes over, oh boy, very, very, very different. And we've seen that with the Willem Dafoe portrayal of the Green Goblin in the Spider-Man movies. The first one played with that a little bit. I think the No Way Home film really leaned into that. And I thought it was phenomenal. And seeing that, I thought, man, I would love for that to be the comics dynamic where he's such a volatile wild card of when he's going well, when he's got his faculties together, he's actually a great person to partner with because he's clever, he's intelligent, he has resources that he can put towards solving problems. You could see him in a lab with Reed Richards working on, fill in the blank, whatever the latest Reed experiment is, but then without warning or with very little warning, it's, all of a sudden Green Goblin's here.
Yeah, they did a really, I mean, if you think about it, it's a very interesting take for them to do with the original Spider-Man movie, is make him more sympathetic.
Yes.
And they did that. They did that really well with all of the villains, really, with Raimi. Raimi did a really good job with that because Doc Ock was the same way. He went nuts and it was out of his control as well in that scenario, which was also a very different take at the time for the character. And it definitely worked a lot better, I think. So to just, because I guess in the comics, he's like, they do play with that a little bit, but not most of the time. He's
already a dick.
Yeah, he's already a dill hole.
Right. He's an unlikable person no matter what. Like, you're starting off with this persona of, we already don't like this person. And so when he does the full heel turn and goes completely villain, you're like, good, I want to see this guy get smacked. And so I'm advocating for, hey, that truly the Jekyll and Hyde scenario of, and again, is it an original idea? No. And I think it'd be a phenomenal fit for Norman Osborn and his Green Goblin
Just make it more of a permanent.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm advocating for. It's like, let's make
where he's actually a good father,
right,
and not an asshole of a dad.
Because I think that's part of what makes the best villains is when they are, and I get it, right? There's room for the pure chaos of the Joker, fine. But I think what makes a villain much more compelling as a whole is when you can empathize with them in some way, when there are real parts of them that are valuable and worth preserving. That's what makes the turn that much more difficult to just understand and even grasp. So I think that we've seen so much of Norman Osborn as the turd, as the person that no one's going to like, but they tolerate when it's the Dark Avengers run. It's like, well, at least this guy's got a lot of money and he keeps all of us criminals out of prison with him. He's in charge for now. So yeah, we'll work with him. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So there you go. That's my Norman take. Well done. One thing you changed. All right. It is time, for better or for worse, for JP's point of view. All right. Where I get to opine on my thought of the pod. And this pod, I wanted to spend just a brief amount of time commending Marvel for what they are pulling off right now with Agatha all along.
Now, in our defense, we cannot confirm or deny we have not watched it.
No. I have kept tabs on it through my normal channels because here's the deal, and I'll be really, really straightforward. My time is, just like the rest of you, precious enough where I don't have the margin to consume all the content that is out there. And as we discussed on the pods leading up to the advent of this show, this was hey, probably not going to watch this. But there has been enough breadcrumbs put on the ground in front of me that I'm going, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. I might check this one out. And here's why, okay? When, for example, Secret Invasion came out, I could have not watched that show and gone to my usual resource and gone, okay, let's see what these folks are saying, how they're responding to the show, and realized very quickly, well, this sucks. Like, it's not being made with care and with attention. The story is convoluted and fractured. This is tough. The indicators that I'm getting at this moment for Agatha all along are so in line with the level of detail that we had come to enjoy, as far as the Easter eggs, the synchronization from film to show, from episode to episode. And so it seems like what Marvel is experiencing right now is finally a proof of concept that we being Marvel, can have a relatively obscure character carry a movie or a series. And that's been really elusive over the last several years because, as we've noted, hey, Avengers, nowhere to be found. We've had a smattering of movies and shows that have been headlined by characters that are far from what anyone would refer to as the most well-established characters, right? And again, some of those have been hits, some of those have been misses. So you've had Loki, She-Hulk, miss. Secret Invasion, miss. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, hit. And so it's just been such an inconsistency, and I think the biggest driver of that inconsistency is the haste with which these shows have been put together. What I think this show is doing well is it is leaning into its identity, but it's doing so with a careful attention to what that identity is and just an actually detailed approach. So it is not my cup of tea, right? I'm not show about witches, I'm going to watch that. I'm not a horror movie guy. That's just, again, not my preferred genre. But from the story construction, from how it's fitting itself into the MCU, this is the first time I'd heard this, for example. Their intention is to have WandaVision, Agatha all along, and then the Vision series essentially function as a trilogy.
Yeah, and I think that also helps the Agatha.
There's no doubt.
Because you're like, so this is WandaVision part 2.
Right. But you have to do that. You have to tie it into the wider MCU, because that was part of what was so frustrating, excuse me, with Secret Invasion and She-Hulk is neither of those shows gained or added any value to the MCU at large. I mean, shoot, Echo, that was one of its strengths where it drew into, oh, hello, there's Kingpin. And so it was able to connect itself to that wider MCU, I'm going to say ATM machine, wider MCU universe in a really positive way. Not where it's relying on it as a crutch, but it's there as a support, as a reason for why the show or the movie, in this case, the show, of course, why it even exists. So I'm encouraged by that. Again, I'm not saying, hey, Agatha all along, greatest show you'll ever see. Still haven't watched all of it. We're going to get into it. But I'm encouraged for what it means for Marvel moving forward. The necessary proof of concept. So there you go.
I'm just thinking, if you watch it, then I have to watch it, and it's a whole thing.
You have to.
No.
Rings of Power, you don't need to watch.
Yeah, but I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy. As a Marvel guy, I feel like I have to force myself to watch it at that point. Although I didn't watch She-Hulk, so
yeah,
never mind.
You don't. No. Don't put yourself in that.
That'll be my get out of jail free card. I didn't watch She-Hulk.
Oh, so true. So true. All right, moving on. The comics recommendation of today's podcast episode is Planet Hulk.
What a good choice.
By our dear, sweet friend. Thank you so much.
Yes, great choice.
Greg Pack. Greg, don't actually know you, so sorry that we're not actually buds yet, but I think we'd be great buds. So Planet Hulk, real quick synopsis. Part of what our recommendations try and do is identify comics where, hey, you don't necessarily have to have read a lot before or read a lot after. You can hopefully identify a relatively self-contained story. And that's what Planet Hulk is. So that's a strength. That's a favorite of JP and the Beans. The other part that's really important is it's a Hulk comic where Hulk smashes the bejesus out of a ton of stuff. He gets sent to an alien planet, exiled from Earth, forced to survive, faced against elements that he has never gone up against before. It's an absolute delight. The art is fantastic as well. The storyline is tremendous. If you really enjoy it, the follow-up World War Hulk is also very enjoyable. But for my money, Planet Hulk is the pinnacle of this particular series of Hulk comics. And again, you can pick it up off a shelf and not have read anything that has come before. All the context is in the story that you're going to need. And it's absolutely fantastic. So Planet Hulk, great pack. That's your comic recommendation of the episode.
The fact that this hasn't gotten a movie.
Correct.
Kind of just an insult.
Yeah.
Honestly. We kind of got it.
But we didn't.
We didn't.
No, we didn't. We didn't. So he ends up on the planet Sakaar. And those of you that are going, why do I recognize the name Sakaar? Well, that's where Thor and Hulk end up and rendezvous in Thor Ragnarok. Okay? Now, that film version of Sakaar, wildly different from what you get in the comic. Now, again, it's an adaptation. So be it. That's fine. But to your point, why have we not received a full-length Hulk film where he is just smashing constantly? We have all these Transformers movies, and we don't have a single worthwhile Hulk movie since 2008.
You know, maybe that's just the beef. Maybe that's the beef today.
Should be.
We haven't had a good Hulk movie.
We haven't had a Hulk movie.
Right?
Where it's just Hulk.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's not hard. We've had the conversation before. We've had the conversation before about how Thor should be Marvel's Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Hulk should be Marvel's Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% what he should be.
I'm just going to bring up the number of King Kong movies and Godzilla
exactly.
movies we have had.
He is a monster movie.
Yeah.
Okay, he is a Transformers movie. That's what he is. You're not going to a Hulk movie because the story is so good and it's endearing. You're like, oh, no, you're watching the Hulk punch a hole through a dragon for no reason. Why is he fighting the dragon? I don't know. Dragons attacking Earth. It's Fin Fang Foom. Rips Fin Fang Foom's throat apart. That's why you go see a Hulk movie. No one wants to see the Hulk cry. There's no fun in that, right? You can't. The only other thing is you watch Bruce Banner inside his head freak out because he lost control again. Oh well, I don't care. You know, at that point, it's advanced Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We already talked about that again as well in this pod. Okay, this should be just money falling from the sky, and we have not had it.
It's purely, truly, purely ridiculous. Purely ridiculous. And I understand there's the rights crap with Universal, but that doesn't make me feel better about that. It's just that much more frustrating, quite frankly.
I'll even do you one better. Think about the Avengers.
Mhm.
What are the most iconic scenes from the Avengers that you can think of? I don't know. The first one that comes to mind is when he smashes Loki
Always angry.
across, and
Yeah.
always angry is number 2.
Yeah.
Number 3, Hulk smash, and he just goes off
Yeah.
like a gorilla, uncaged, loose on the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grabs an alien, rips it apart.
It's
Make
wild.
sense.
It's wild. For as glorious and as simply fun it is to see the Hulk in action on the big screen, that the amount of actual time we've had with the Hulk on the big screen, way too small. Way too small.
Yeah, it's just
Truly. I mean, here you go. Godzilla, we've had 4 Godzilla movies in the last 10 years. Now, that's part of Godzilla sometimes teaming up with King Kong. But okay, so we've had, let's see, 1, 2, look at that, 3 King Kong movies in the last 10 years. Like, so we can have these big monster mash movies that people go to because they keep getting made, so they're making money. We're seeing them. Transformers keeps cranking out these
5, 6,
bash
7,
fests, and-
7 movies.
and we can't get a friggin' Incredible Hulk movie. I mean, we should have had 4 or 5 Incredible Hulk movies at this point.
Maybe
Should we
this
not?
is where Michael Bay fits in to the
Do
Marvel
some good,
universe.
Mike.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe the
seriously.
Hulk is Michael Bay's thing.
Stop making Ninja Turtle movies and come on over to the Hulk, bro.
That fits him more. And let Michael Bay do all the explosion he wants, because he is a gamma bomb and a human person.
All of the mediocre storytelling filmmakers that you can think of that nonetheless make glorious visuals. Zack Snyder. Truly.
Actually, Zack
do
Snyder.
wonders with this.
I'm about to
character.
say he actually might not be bad, because he might actually,
That's what I'm saying. These are the kind of directors this would be a good fit for you.
because he might actually be able to get the sympathetic side of Bruce Banner.
Sure.
Because for some reason he was like, let's see how we can make Superman
Right.
dark. The Hulk is already dark.
Hulk is already there.
You don't have to try.
Hulk's
It
already
fits
there.
the character.
Yeah. And
I
for
love
me,
it.
I weirdly both understand and appreciate the direction that they chose to go in Infinity War and Endgame. So that's true. And on the other hand,
It needed to happen way later.
I'm also equally frustrated that we don't get Hulk smashing, full formed Hulk smashing the bejesus out of things. So truly,
Or Thanos.
in both instances, I both understand and appreciate it and go, yes, it works, and say, but I just wish they had done it differently.
The fact that he chickened out against Thanos, that just doesn't. I'm sorry. No, wrong.
How about that? We
Wrong.
got a beef out of you. That's
He
really
does
great.
get the crap beat out of him, sure, but let him redeem
Eventually he can
himself.
come back.
Let him
Eventually the
redeem
guy's gotta come
himself.
back. There you go.
Yeah.
Also, that was what we would call Pain's beefs.
Yeah, it did come out. It's funny. I was like, I got nothing tonight, and then that was like, I got
Give it
triggered.
time. Give it time.
I'm really not an angry person, I don't think.
Read this comic and you might be, for good reason. It's a phenomenal comic. It's just on the Mount Rushmore for me. It's great. All right, let's move on. So our Green Lantern casting update. Hey, listen, some good news, believe it or not, on the Green Lantern front. Our guy, Aaron Pierre, has been cast as none other than Jon Stewart. Now, we're going to check Aaron's bio here. Oh, he's only 30 years old. Is this okay? Are we sure do we know what we're doing? Does he need another couple decades? 30's all right? All right. I guess he's going to be okay. He's going to be half the age of our guy, Kyle Chandler, a.k.a. Hal Jordan. But, okay, all kidding aside, I'm really excited about this casting choice because Aaron Paul, sorry, Breaking Bad Freudian slip there. Aaron Pierre, God bless you, looks like he's been ripped straight out of the Green Lantern comics.
He looks like Jon Stewart.
And speaking of ripped, homie's ready.
Like,
there's no prep time needed. He is ready to go.
Like I literally when I looked at him, I compared him to like Justice League cartoon.
Yep.
They look alike. I'm all for it.
Serious.
Now there's been
looks uncannily like him.
Backlash about him being Jon Stewart because he's not black enough. That's a thing. Let the guy work. All right, just let him work. He's black, is he not? That's a win. But again, I'm a white guy, so maybe I'm out of place here on talking about the topic. But I want to see the guy.
That's ridiculous.
Trusting James Gunn.
That's ridiculous.
Trusting James Gunn. The dude had to try out for the role. 100%. He won it. He earned it. Let's see what he can do.
Here's part of what I love about this casting is Aaron Pierre is both young enough in literal years and in his career that he is coming into this role, all right, without any prior baggage, positive or negative, attached to him. For us as fans, we're going to be able to embrace and enjoy this character. This is me assuming, and I do believe this is going to be the case, that his portrayal is going to be outstanding. This guy is going to be, for the rest of his life, he's going to have the opportunity to carry the legacy of being Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, and I think he's going to freaking crush it.
And he gets bonuses to this too, because yes, he gets to carry that mantle.
Yep.
He's the first one to be Jon Stewart.
Yes.
So
never had a live action Jon Stewart.
Correct.
Yep.
So that's also a plus. Mm-hmm. We also haven't had a good Green Lantern. Okay. No offense to Ryan, but Ryan also knows that, right? So he's had some good roles clearly on that list, but like this is the perfect opportunity. This is the kind of movie that you break out from.
Right.
That's just what the superhero movies do. They're a blockbuster. Look at all the main 6 from the Marvel movies, the original Avengers cast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bang.
Fast forward the calendar about 5-6 years, and you're going to be seeing a lot of Aaron Pierre.
100%.
Here's what I picked out of his filmography. And again, it's relatively brief. So Rebel Ridge is his most recent production, available on Netflix, came out this year, 2024.
I've heard it's great.
Same. So now I'm going, need to watch this. He's going to be the voice of Mufasa in the Lion King movie that none of us necessarily asked for, but it is happening. So if it's going to happen, hey, might as well have Aaron Pierre as Mufasa in Mufasa, the Lion King movie, December 20th. I should really get royalties for that. Ruther in 2022, The Underground Railroad in 2021 on Amazon Prime. And here's a really fun little nugget, okay? Our guy Aaron Pierre has been in the DC universe before. How is this possible, you ask? Well, our guy played Dev M in the classic Sci-Fi Channel show Krypton.
There you go.
In 2018. So there you go. The guy has dipped his toe into the DC pond. Needless to say, this will be a bigger pond, bigger pool to get into. So I'm super excited for this. You listen to the guy's voice. His voice is phenomenal. The physique is incredible. The look is right there. It's a bit all day. For as frustrated as I am with where we're getting Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner in terms of their career path, listen, if this is what we're going to get as far as our primary Green Lantern to follow on these stories for a decade and some change to come, I will be certainly at peace with this. I'll make my peace with it. It's going to be great.
I'm a Jon Stewart guy.
Oh.
I'm a Jon Stewart kid. That was my Green Lantern. Yep. I'm all for Jon Stewart. Yep. So I didn't even know Hal Jordan existed until Ryan Reynolds.
Sure.
So I'm over the moon.
Yeah.
I just really hope that because the rumors were that Hal Jordan was going to be the grumpy one, no nonsense, and John in this is going to be the loose cannon. I hope that's not the case.
Mm.
I hope it's reverse.
Mm-hmm.
I hope their personalities are actually the same as in the comics.
Yep.
It might be even funnier if John is the straight man to an older Hal who's just I've seen it all, I'm just going to do what I want. That to me is appealing.
Yeah.
So just let's see where it goes.
Correct.
For the love of God.
Correct. Yeah. There's a lot of reason to be hopeful. Part of what I thought was fascinating to read about, and fascinating in the sense of how that sausage gets made with how casting decisions are are come to, and what James Gunn talked about is during the read for the part, right? Kyle Chandler, as we know, has already been cast as Hal Jordan, so they're having these other actors, one of whom, of course, is Aaron Pierre, come in to do reads with Kyle Chandler to see what kind of synergy different actors are able to have with one another. And James Gunn said it was unreal watching Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler go back and forth as those two characters. So, and anytime you have, whether it be movie or show that revolves around a couple of primary characters, and come on, the buddy cop genre is a tale almost as old as movies. And when those castings are crushed, that's where those stories really excel. So hopefully that's what we're going to get in terms of fit. We won't know for some time, right? We're still, we got to be a good 2 years away yet before we get anything tangible as far as an actual Green Lantern episode to watch. But we're getting closer, and that gets me excited.
I'm so thrilled to actually get Green Lantern in live action.
Mm-hmm.
So thrilled because we have. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
I think about the Green Lanterns and I think about the Flash, and it's an actual crime to humanity that we have not had a good Green Lantern movie or a good Flash movie. Because it's just, I feel like it's money in the bank.
Yeah, certainly is. Hey, reason to be optimistic. We love that. All right, well, without further ado, let's get into another classic JP and the Beans Top 5. Today's Top 5 are our favorite logos for comic book superheroes. So, favorite logos, comic book superheroes. Beans, you go first.
Well, like I was telling you earlier, this one was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But at number 5,
let's hear it.
I have Nightwing.
Yes.
I have a Nightwing logo. I have a Nightwing shirt.
It's a phenomenal logo.
It's a fantastic shirt.
It's not well known.
No.
Like, you're going to wear that shirt and almost nobody's going to know what it's in reference to, but it's a sharp freaking logo.
And I'm not talking about, like, dinky 80s Nightwing logo. I'm talking, like, modern day Nightwing logo.
Like that cobalt blue.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Lights up the chest. Mm-hmm. It's almost a Thunderbird.
It's strong.
Yeah, it is. Yep. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So Nightwing is my number 5.
I love that. So as I was trying to decide, hey, what do I want my internal criteria to be? I remembered talking to one of my good buddies, my good buddy Andrew, and Andrew and I are baseball fans. And where I'm going with this is Andrew, during this time of year, on his big whiteboard, will draw out the playoff bracket for Major League Baseball, and he will actually draw the logos of each team.
Well?
Very well.
Oh, okay.
Very well. He does it very well. And we've had conversations about this because he'll send me a picture of it, like, man, that looks phenomenal. And he has told me that his favorite logos are those that can be drawn relatively easily, right? Like he says, hey, I think if it's a good logo, it means you can sit down, pencil, piece of paper, and sketch it out. Now, obviously,
I would agree with that.
We're going to have some different, level of skill, but I thought that's a really, really solid criteria. So I took that into consideration. All of this context to say this was harder than I thought it was going to be because there are actually some really outstanding logos and some good ones are going to get left off of this list. But all of that being said, my number 5 when it comes to favorite logos for me, it's the Superman logo. Like, as logos go, it's absolutely iconic. And something I appreciate about it is that it has gone through almost no changes, and it doesn't need to.
I'm about to say, is it the classic Superman logo? Yes.
Yeah, where you got the blue kind of chevron, the yellow interior, and the red letter S. It's really freaking good. And so many other logos, whether it be superheroes or sports teams, like they go through all these different iterations. That sucker has stood the test of time, and I think for good reason. It's you don't need to mess with the classic. So Superman is my number 5. My number 4, okay, and this surprised me because it wasn't one that I had taken into consideration until I started doing my research. My number 4 is the Deadpool logo. It's a phenomenal logo. It's great, not just because it captures a simple and yet effective design, but somehow it also encompasses the rascaliness of Deadpool, and it's all the eyes. Those white eyes in there. You've got a black circle, red interior for the mask, and then there's those little white eyeballs just almost winking at you, and you go, oh, Wade, you dog. So that's my number 4, the Deadpool logo.
My number 4, we go for a more classic take. I have the X-Men X logo.
Nice. Yeah.
There's something about everybody having the same badge of honor as a whole team, as a whole unit. You see the X, you look up, you save, you're like, I don't care who it is, I know it's an X-Men, we're fine. So, I got the X-Men logo at 4.
That's a mark of a good team, right? Yeah. Your logo is the same. It represents the unity.
And like you said, it's simple logos are what's effective, right? Yeah. How many other superheroes start with X?
Correct.
0. And this one's a whole team of them.
Yeah.
So it's got that. It's got the double meaning of Xavier. So there's like a nice little combination there. So to me,
I love it. Great choice for number 4.
Number 4, X-Men. Number 3, I do have a Batman logo. Okay, but I have the Batman Rebirth logo with the gold trim. There's something. There's something about not like the yellow circle behind the Bat logo, but like just the nice little gold outline. I don't know what it is about this.
Doesn't it?
It like ties it all together. You're like,
yes.
Okay, it's like almost a nod to the fact that maybe there is a little hope in the darkness. That was on the spot. That was pretty good.
Really well done. Really well done.
So it's just, and that symbol too. It's not campy. It's a sleek Bat logo. So that is my number 3.
It's not an obese logo. It's some of those Batman
logos
can become.
Here's the thing. Some of them are obese, right? Some of them are fat. Some of them are way too long. You have some that are way too thin.
Yep.
Okay? The other Bat logo, I was actually considering putting in here instead of this one because I limited myself to one hero per logo.
Right.
I was this close to picking the Batman Beyond logo.
Sure.
The red.
Sure.
Because that's really good looking as well.
Yep.
And that's not like fat. It's like the perfect, like, you can tell that the bat is a bat size with the giant wings. And it just works because it looks like it's preying on people. Right? Like it's about to pounce.
Oh, it's so good.
But I was like, man, I love the new 52 logo the best, I think.
Yeah. It's really cool because the design flat out is phenomenal. And there's been iterations, as you mentioned, of different bat logos or bat symbols. What is particularly enjoyable for someone who's read the comics is that version of the logo doesn't emerge until the very end of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run together on Batman in the New 52. And then it's obviously carried into the Rebirth era of Batman's story. But it was just such a wonderful, just symbol, literal symbol of how the character had developed during their time, both writing and drawing. It was a really, really great symbol. That's such a good number 3. For me, I'm going to say my number 3 is going to be the Captain America logo. I love the shield, the patriotic colors, and it has that dual meaning of being both the logo and the representation of Captain America's primary tool when he's going into combat, when he's going into battle, right? The shield symbol. And it's such a unique element of the character because as far as weapons go, a shield is not a weapon. It's not something that any other character throughout history uses in any genuine, consistent way as a weapon. And it's not just that Captain America does deploy it as a weapon, but it represents the truest part of who he is, which is a protector of others. So, big fan of that Captain America logo. Absolutely love it. That's my number 3. Okay. My number 2, this gets so hard. My number 2 is actually the Spider-Man logo. I think that spider.
Which one?
So I'm picturing the big white spider. I don't know if I'm describing the one that you're thinking of right now. But the big white spider goes right across the chest with the legs that flow out.
From what? The comics?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from the comics. Not one of the Raimi films specifically. I'll show you a picture later.
Yeah, I need a picture.
Yeah. But the Spider-Man logo is just perfect. And again, can you draw it? Yes. Spider-Man is such a freaking weird character, man.
He's got so many logos too.
So so strange. But I love the fact that his character is so uniquely skilled, uniquely set up, that logo just fits so well. Out of all the character designs, the classic Spider-Man look to me is just a money design every single freaking time. So that's my number 2, Spider-Man.
My number 2 is also Spider-Man, but I picked the PS4 logo.
Sure.
Now this one is white. This one's also white. So that's like, but we're not talking about the same one. So this one is just, it was such a nice, like, fresh take on the suit, because that was like the whole thing. They wanted to do their own suit. It's their advanced suit is what they call it.
Sure.
And yeah, the white takes up a lot of the thing, and you're so used to the black and blue and red.
Yep.
So to have that, like, there's something about it that just kind of tops out at you a little bit more, and I think it just does a service to the entire game as you're playing it, because you're like, oh, he's been here for a while. There's just something about, like, continuing to upgrade and be better as Spider-Man.
Right.
But yeah, no, that logo is my number 2 by far.
I love it. All right, let's hear your number 1, Beans.
Number 1, this is maybe surprising for you. I have the Avengers A.
Wow, okay.
I think what that has been able to become, just pop culture wise, like, that is the MCU. Like, all the big movies are the Avengers movies. There's something amazing about seeing the iconic A. I remember looking at Avengers Tower for the first time, and you see it, and it's kind of like the bat signal, but instead of, being lit up at night, it's just like essentially almost a monument in New York at one point of, hey, stuff happened here.
Correct.
The Avengers are here, so if anything bad happens, they're right there. Nobody really wants to mess with New York when they have that there, right? So it, like, serves all of these purposes, and it's gotten to the point now where I just think the A is so iconic. So yeah, my number 1 is the Avengers logo.
That's freaking fantastic. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit and do a 1A and a 1B. Okay, now 100%
doesn't work.
My
pass.
My 1A
veto
is exactly what you brought up earlier. Veto, perfect. The Batman designed by Greg Capullo. That bat symbol is just friggin' perfect.
The Rebirth one?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, you nailed it.
I'm surprised we had that same.
Truly.
I figured you would pick the Christian Bale logo, because that one's really good too.
It's very solid, but I'll always see it as like an alternate symbol of sorts. And maybe I shouldn't even say that, because there are so many versions. Like the Michael Keaton version is great in its own right. So the bat symbol has this very unique malleability where it can change and yet still hold its value, which is pretty unique. Most symbols can't do that. So that's my 1A. But my 1B is the Punisher logo.
Oh, that's one I didn't even think of. Yeah, that's solid.
The skull with the extensions as it comes down from the nostrils is just, it's so stinking good. It's so tight, like the white skull right on the black background. Well, it's amazing. It's able to kind of oscillate a little bit where it can be really sharply defined, or it can be a little more fuzzy along the edges, and it still is just impactful. And it sends that message of, he is coming. Like, you see that and you're in trouble. You better hope you're on his side, because if you're not, goodbye.
Right, and like, I was just to jump off that. If you think about it, like, you have the bat signal in the sky, and all the villains are freaking out.
Right.
That is the equivalent of the Punisher logo.
Correct.
You see the Punisher logo, you're like, I'm dead.
Right. You're on the wrong side of things, and you know it, and you see that.
Oh, it's Batman on a whole nother level.
Correct.
You're like, I'm not living.
Correct.
That is the mark of my burial.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, it's been used in real life and everything too. So, oh yeah,
it's a tremendous logo. It's a tremendous
that
logo.
One should be on my list, 100%.
Well, here's the thing. This was a really enjoyable challenge to come up with, because the Nightwing logo was on my list of, I don't know how to squeeze this in there. But it should be on a top 5 list. The Wonder Woman logo, the 2 W's stacked together, and the Golden Eagles wings, it's strong. It's a strong, solid logo. Here's one that really surprised me. Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Those logos are fantastic.
Yeah, they are.
They're really cool.
They are cool. I really like Red Hood's Bat logo, not his more recent one, but when he's with Batman, that logo is really good.
The Robin R.
The Robin R
is phenomenal.
I was close to putting that on there because I was like, that's low key really good.
It is. It's surprising. It shouldn't be as good as it is.
It should be dorky.
It should
and
be.
It's not.
It should be.
Right, but you got the Flash lightning bolt. That's really good looking. There's a couple there's a couple people that need to be revamped. We need to get more creative, especially on the Marvel front of things.
Actually, yes. Like DC has many more robust logos to choose from. Like, Marvel was strangely lacking as I did my
I just think Mjolnir being the whole logo for Thor is kind of weird, right?
Doesn't work.
No. And that's a different pod for a different day, but
we will get into worse logos at some point. There is no doubt.
But like even with like Iron Man, you would think, oh, it's the chest piece or whatever. Yep. It's more the helmet and then just like
they're trying to do like the whole helmet instead of just like they should almost do an Iron Man mask, but try and Punisher it up a little bit.
Right.
Frankly, like grunge rather. Cringe out. Making up words, grunge it up.
But I think of the
Black Panther should have a phenomenal logo.
And it's just his face, from what I understand.
It's just like way too detailed. It's not like it's as if they went through no effort to actually come up with a original design.
I'm surprised Wolverine doesn't have one of his own. That was kind of weird to me. Like Aquaman has a logo, and that's not bad.
No, it's not.
I was not depressed by the Aquaman logo, but it's not amazing, right? But it's very basic. But at the same time, like
atrocious.
Right. So
Beast Boy had one that surprised me. It was a
Beast
green.
Boy has one?
Right. I didn't know, but it's a green circle. Okay, and then you've got a human hand. And then you got a paw inside the human hand. It actually looked better than it had any right being. It's like, but it encompasses the character
Sounds
really
like
well.
Tarzan.
Okay.
With a gorilla.
Sure. Imagine more like a big cat paw, right? So like leopard paw, something along those lines. It was pretty sweet. I actually thought, that's clever. I can get on board with that. Yeah. So I agree. There's somebody out there with the skills. Go get yourself hired by Marvel because they need your help. They do.
Yeah, the Marvels.
The opportunity is there.
Now, it's like all their team logos are fantastic.
Yes.
Right? Like the Fantastic Four.
The Shield logo is actually really
that's
solid.
Another logo I didn't even think about.
Right?
That's kind of similar to Nightwing a little bit. But yes, that's iconic. Yes. You think about the Hydra logo.
Good point.
That's iconic.
It's a great logo.
Yep. Yeah, I know it's all the teams. It's all the superhero and supervillain teams that are they're like, you know what? We need marketing. And so
let's pool our resources. Yes. We can do this.
So yeah, it's really weird that like the single heroes by themselves, right?
Just can't
aren't able to
now.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a struggle. Well, you're absolutely right. Like with Thor's logo as just the Mjolnir hammer, it's just very underwhelming. It's like,
Magneto's, I think, is just his helmet.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, it's like, I get it, but at the same time...
Yeah, they can do better.
You know, why not just a magnet? Like, I don't know. No, why just not? I know why not a magnet, but...
Gotcha.
But still...
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just...
Yeah.
We got some work to do.
All good things. Great dialogue on the top 5 favorite logos from JP and Beans. Beans, anything else you want to hit on, Mike?
No, that is it. I haven't plugged anything in a while, so we'll just plug the YouTube page, Magic Beans Productions, TikTok, Magic Beans Production, Instagram, Magic Beans Productions. That's where you're going to find us. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, you're listening to us. You found JP and the Beanstalk, so listen to us on all podcast platforms.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all I have.
I love it.
You good?
I'm so good.
We're good.
Take us home.
So on that note, God bless.
Peace.